Hello, we're live. This is the
That's the highlight. That's the highlight of the show. Over everybody. Those opening credits, quality.
Yeah. Do you know what? The opening credits, which let's give a shout out to Invinciblog over this one, Paul, who does all of the setup for us to do this. They're awfully jolly, aren't they? And I will be honest with you, Dave at Gooner Dave 66 and James Cook. So it's J.E. Cook. What's the final? You got some 96, is it?
That's the one, mate. That's the one.
That's it. Are joining me today, and the opening credits are probably the most fun that you'll have when listening to a podcast, an Arsenal podcast, after what we can describe as a debacle, which was the 2-1 defeat at home to Wolves here on the 29th of November. So we
like your comedy, very, very dark.
Yeah, dark, black, tar-like and depressing. So we're going to try and I'd like to say lighten the mood. We're not. I don't know whether we'll lighten the mood or not, to be honest with you. And I'll bring the lads in to talk for a second to give their general thoughts on the game. But of course, Arsenal have now lost 3 in a row at the Emirates. They have lost to Wolves, they've lost to Aston Villa, and they've lost to Leicester. And I think we can all agree we never want to see another 7:15 kickoff again in our entire lives. But Dave, can you just talk to me about your thoughts? Let's start from the beginning. Let's go through this painfully step by step and talk about the beginning whilst I slowly decongest my 7th Heineken, because the only way I can get over this is by drinking excessively on a Sunday and then telling my boss that I'm not doing video calls tomorrow morning because I have problems with my Wi-Fi. So Dave, talk to me about
I thought you were going to say problems with your wife then. Well, I wasn't. I tell you, the only thing that surprised me in this selection, well, that's not true. I was sort of thought Willian might lose his place. Nope. But I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised he didn't play.
He's got something on Arteta.
Well, yeah, we can all speculate. Yeah, look, come on. You don't go from being a Brazilian regular, this 10 assists for Chelsea last season. You don't become a bad player overnight. So, he's not a bad player. He's not a waste of money yet, but there's something obviously not quite right. I didn't think he was that bad today. I just think we need to find the right blend. And I think if Pepe had been fit, had not been banned, I think after his display on Thursday night, Pepe might have started, and he might not have started. So the next game would be interesting to see. I think Pepe will probably come straight in, to be honest. I was pleased that Willock. Yeah,
he's got a 3-matcher, so he's going to miss Tottenham. I shall not be watching that at this rate. And he's going to miss Burnley. So go on, carry on, mate.
Yeah. I was pleased that Willock kept his place. I think Willock's been getting a lot of adverse press. Everyone wanted him to play, and then when he did play, everyone's moaning about it. I think the thing is that people are expecting Willock to be sitting in that creative 10 role. That's not his game. I don't think Arteta's asked him to do that, and people expect him to be doing it. I don't think that is his game. He's more of a Ramsey type box-to-box, so making those late runs into the box. And he has got very, very good feet. He does beat a man. He dribbled and beat men tonight, particularly on the left of the 3. So I didn't have a problem with that. I had a massive problem with Granit Xhaka tonight. I thought he was, I think Xhaka just must be an acronym for dawdle, because he's just so slow on the ball. Yes, he can make the odd good pass, but I think if a player after 5 years at a club the fans are still undecided, that has to tell you all you need to know.
I mean, Cookie, I'll bring you in on a second, but just on that point, Dave, I make you right, and was of this parish will obviously be probably punching the walls right now, but because he's a big fan of Granit Xhaka, and I have been a big fan of Granit Xhaka, but I thought tonight really symptomized why we need to move beyond this player. I mean, there was one particular moment, there's a few moments, but there was one particular moment tonight which for me really stood out. And in true sort of Gav She-War style, I've literally made a note of it. So the ball turned over in our half. So Wolves lost the ball. It fell to Xhaka, and Saka made a direct run forward, wide left. Aubameyang made a direct run forward, straight down the middle. Granit Xhaka controlled the ball, took another touch, looked up, looked back and played it square to either Gabriel or David Luiz. And that really symptomised the problem that we've got at the moment. And James, I'll bring you in on this now. Are we too slow? Give me some general thoughts about tonight's performance from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a given that we're too slow. I think it's crazy, you know, just how poor we are at the minute, given I thought we ended last season quite strongly. I know everyone's got mixed opinions on the way we were playing with the three at the back, but we went to Wolves last season and we beat them quite convincingly with the same set of players. So the fact it's gone so wrong, I'm not quite sure. I'm really not quite sure why the wheels have come off. We had the same issues last season with creativity. We didn't have Mesut Ozil playing in those games, and now we're seeing just so many people, an array of people calling out for Mesut Ozil when I think we're just, we're clutching at straws calling out for him. I mean, I don't think he's going to, if he plays tonight, he doesn't make us a better side. Let's be brutally honest. He might fashion a few chances, but we had 2 shots on target tonight. It's absolutely appalling. We're not getting Aubameyang in the game. Willian, I think, was definitely one of our brighter players tonight. Of course, getting the assist for the goal, putting a couple of good opportunities as well. But I thought, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, that speaks volumes, doesn't it? I mean, how poor were we tonight that he's been our best player? I'm not sure he should have started tonight. I'd love to have seen Nelson get a chance in the starting 11, but we're just a team devoid of ideas, and the only thing we really had in the bank at the minute was our good defensive record, and now that seems to be slowly falling apart as well. So yeah, we're very, very tough to watch at the minute.
I think maybe the Willian thing might be to do without Pepe. I mean, I think Nelson definitely, I agree with James. I think Nelson was unfortunate not to start, but Saka's not done a lot wrong. He wasn't great today. And I think starting 2 youngsters on either flank, he's probably just going for a little bit of an old hand and a bit of experience in Willian. Whether it paid off or not is one thing, but to not start with, to have 3 youngsters behind Aubameyang might have been seen just as, too much of a gamble, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. And joining us on the virtual pub, obviously, we've got people from Facebook and Periscope and on YouTube. And I've had a couple that have come in talking about leadership. So I've had Adrian Brady, who's talked about that we haven't got a captain, and Pete Bryden. Shout out to both of you. Hopefully, you're enjoying the virtual pint because obviously we're all still in lockdown. Thanks very much, Boris. We'll be in lockdown till post-Christmas as well. Cheers, mate.
I've taken Wednesday off work just so I can go to the pub, to be honest.
Yeah, right. Do we have to ask a captain question? Do we have to ask the lead? I don't know. Do we have to ask a captain and leadership question? I feel like this is all very boring, and we've asked those questions before. Dave, talk to me. I
know. I mean, I am a bit old-fashioned, and people have accused me of that on many occasions, whether I write, whether I talk about football. But I do still believe in the captain, the leadership thing on the pitch. But whether it has to be the one man wearing the armband, I think we're devoid of obvious leaders. I think Luiz going off obviously doesn't help because I think he is a leader on the pitch. The 2 obvious candidates are Gabriel and Tierney. Within the current setup, who they're the only 2 for me who would be potential captains and leaders. Aubameyang, I think Aubameyang needs just to be able to play his football and not worry about being the leader of his side, if I'm quite honest. So I don't think that he's a long-term solution as a captain. And I'm sure, if a proper conversation could be had, I'm sure Arteta and Aubameyang could resolve that. I think he's proud to be captain, but I think if Arteta could say, actually, Pierre, look, I just want you to concentrate on being the best striker you can be and we're going to give it to someone else, I probably would, personally.
Yeah. Cookie, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an age-old question for Arsenal, hasn't it? Ever since we lost Patrick Vieira, it's always been, who's that leader? We spoke about it being Koscielny, Mertesacker, Vermaelen, Fabregas. I mean,
you can't mention the fact that Cesc was actually a really, really good captain, but hey, we're not allowed to mention his name, but yeah.
We'll save that for another podcast. But I mean, I actually think we've got a good group of leaders. I mean, Dave mentions Tierney. I think he's a phenomenal player on the pitch and leads by example as well. Aubameyang, and I completely agree as well. He doesn't strike me as a natural leader, just a player that has got such good positivity about him. And I think he was pretty devoid of positivity to see. I think he was quite visibly frustrated at times. And I think that's probably maybe a good example as to why he's not necessarily the best captain for Arsenal. And of course, there's a lot of people who cry out for Granit Xhaka as well. And I think, I don't know, that's going to divide opinion. Very loud player, not necessarily loud about the right things at times. But I think, Gabriel, I think he's a good candidate to be a good leader at Arsenal. And David Luiz to an extent as well. I mean, a very experienced player. Obviously, still very early in his Arsenal career, I suppose. But what he has done in terms of bringing positivity to the side and being vocal and kind of jeering on his teammates, I think he's a good leader in the team. But we don't really have that Vieira-like type player. But I think we're never really going to see that in the modern game now, are we?
Or really? I mean, maybe we do, and he's just injured at the moment. I mean, I know you don't want to make a captain. You don't want to make someone a captain after 3 weeks at the club. But I mean, next season, if he finishes this season well, Thomas Partey is exactly that sort of player, isn't he? Who would lead by example, who will take the game by the scruff of the neck. I mean, we're all hoping he's going to be that player.
Can I just chuck it in? Isn't it the most Arsenal thing ever that I looked into this? Like Thomas Partey, and I've said this for a few weeks now on Twitter. Thomas Partey had like 6 games.
Never been injured.
He's had like 6 games out in like 6 or 7 years, and he rocks up at Arsenal and he's injured.
And he's been playing for a really physical side as well, hasn't he?
Exactly. So he's taken his share of knocks and bruises. But I think we now need to move on to one of the massive challenges and massive issues that we have in our midfield. Like, we all know we don't have a connector between midfield and attack. We know that. And everyone's going to, there'll be people that will be screaming at the whole, with the umlauts above it discussion. I'm not even going to go into that because there's no point.
No point. He's not in the squad.
No, I agree. No, I'm not going to go into that. But what I will say is that Granit Xhaka and Dani Ceballos in that midfield is absolutely depressing to me. Like, Ceballos moves the ball. I'm really not sure the value that he adds at times because he's moving the ball out of play. He always looks busy and he always looks like he's moving the ball, but it doesn't really move with any kind of purpose. And there's a couple of times where he just passed it out of play. I mean,
yeah, he did that twice in the first half.
It's just depressing. And we move the ball so slowly. Going from back to front, we're slow. Going from side to side, we're slow. There is a massive issue here.
I think
I genuinely, I'm going to ask a question here, and I'm going to put it out to the people on. I'm going to put it out to the people on our Facebook page as well as we're running live. Like, is Arteta running out of credit because he's not fixing these problems? So, Dave, just talk to me about credit in the bank for Arteta.
I do. Well, on that particular subject you were talking about. We have to bear in mind that Partey's not fit and El Nenny's come back from COVID. So I think Ceballos and Xhaka worked at the end of last season in a 3-4-3. And it worked because it's a different formation. And also, logically, you've got a right footer and a left footer. And it's not a case of it's a double pivot. Now, in this 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, not quite sure. If you're going to have 2 players sitting in front of a back 4, they're too similar for me. They are too similar. The only difference is that one's right-footed and one's left-footed, so there's balance. But they're just 2 similar sort of players. They both got a good pass on them. They both can look busy, but they're too similar and they're not progressive enough. So I think the question for Arteta, yes, he has got credit in the bank, is to find the right partner and the right formation for Thomas Partey. Now, I think that is going to be 4-2-3-1. And I think in the short term, sadly, it will be Xhaka that plays with Partey, in my view, just because of the right foot, left foot. But I think long term, it's Partey and someone else, and it's neither of those 2 players. And I think that's going to be January window potentially, or, it could be somebody coming through the youth. I don't know. But I do think Arteta's still got credit in the bank, but he definitely needs to get a positive run of results very soon, and obviously no better than starting next weekend.
Seriously, I mean, I'm at the point where I've never been more fearful of a North London derby. Like, I even said in our WhatsApp group, part of me doesn't even want to watch it because I'm just worried. I mean, he will set up as a low block and we'll look to be strong defensively. We know that, but Cookie, Jimbo, I mean, where are you at right now in terms of this team, Arteta, credit in the bank? Give me a bit of an overview from your perspective.
A lot of questions all at once, mate. Tough one to answer. I mean, just touching on next weekend, I really wouldn't be surprised if I saw us go back to a 3-4-3. Because we've not actually played it for a while. And going into that game, I think if we've got any chance of getting even a point out of it, it really wouldn't surprise me if Partey is still out, for example. If we went back to that system, had a back 3 of Gabriel, Luiz, Tierney, and then maybe brought Maitland-Niles back in on the left-hand side, Bellerin on the right, Partey, Xhaka in the middle. looks a little bit more promising in terms of getting something from that game, because as much as I hate to say it, Spurs have been very good this season, playing some really good stuff, and we're doing the complete opposite, playing some really bad stuff. So it's a recipe for disaster going into that game, and I'm terrified, to be honest with you. Don't want to say it going into it, but it's a game I'm certainly not looking forward to. 3 losses at home on the bounce, failing to score goals against a Spurs side that are playing well. It's just, it could be very, very nasty. But I think, going back to your original question about Arteta having credit in the bank, I mean, I'll still maintain that this is his very first job in management, and he's been in it less than a year. I know that football is such a short-term game now, and we really do struggle to be patient with managers. But I think I just look around. I think who is there that would come in and immediately change the mindset and improve the football Arsenal? Because at the minute, I just partly without the personnel to do it, I still think we're going through that cultural shift. And Arteta, I still think he, from what I've seen of him so far, despite us going through a rough patch now, I still think he's the best man to lead us forward at this present moment. If we're still in this situation 6 months down the line, then obviously that question has to be asked with a bit more consideration. But for the time being, I struggle to look around and see anyone in the world that can make us immediately a better side.
I know who can do that.
Who?
Gabriel Martinelli.
Actually, do you know what? That's a really good point. You're laughing, Dave. You're laughing. But seriously, if you could have your choice, how many of these players would you literally put in the bin and roll the bin down that really big hill in like Gloucestershire where they do cheese rolling? Like Leno tonight. Leno's been a great keeper for us, but that was poor for the second goal. That was really poor. He's basically just palmed it straight out into Podence, who's just flicked it in.
Most of the players, even players who've actually, I think Bellerin, for example, has actually had a return to form this season. He was awful today. Awful today. Even, I mean, of those 11 players, any credit, maybe Gabriel, probably Tierney, maybe Willock. That's about it for me. The rest of the team were very, very average.
Can I ask the really uncomfortable question then? And I'll start with you actually, then Dave, and then move to Cookie. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. I mean, I think we're killing an absolute lethal goal scorer because he doesn't turn shite overnight. And what's happened?
Well, I just think what's happened is it wasn't broke, and why are we trying to fix it? He's been pushed into the middle for 2 reasons. One, because I think he wants to play in the middle, and we shouldn't be kowtowing to a player demand anyway. Secondly, because Lacazette obviously has been poor and lost confidence, and Nketiah is not going to carry the hopes of a club the size of Arsenal. So everyone thinks, let's put Aubameyang through the middle. Well, that's all very well if we've got a team that can play to his style. So we need to be, we need to have through balls over the top. What we can't be doing is playing it to his feet like we did with Lacazette, like we did with Giroud. So we can't be doing that. So what we've got to be doing is getting the fullbacks bombing on, which I thought is what would happen with a 4-2-3-1. Once we've got Partey and whoever it's going to be, if we got those 2 people sitting, Bellerin and Tierney could do what they're good at and just bomb on and get those crosses in across. Because Aubameyang can near post player, fantastic. Coming in from the left, fantastic. He is not a centre forward in a 4-2-3-1 with the players we've got behind him right now. So I don't think Aubameyang's become bad overnight. But if he carries on being used like this and not getting any service, he's going to get seriously pissed off. I think Cookie's right. I think 3-4-3 next week. Get Aubameyang back out on the left, and get either Lacazette or Nketiah, whoever it was. I thought, incidentally, that experiment with Lacazette playing in a withdrawn 10 in the 4-2-3-1 in Mulder actually looked quite good for long periods. I think he was actually quite good behind the striker. So that's something you could look at long term. Not long term, but long term in this season. But no, I think Cookie's right. 3-4-3. Get him back on the left. Get Saka at wing back and get those 2 playing in tandem like they were, at the end of last season, the early part of this season.
Cookie?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a strange one, isn't it, to have gone from what was an unbelievable player towards the end of last season. And for his entire time at Arsenal, really, he's been absolutely phenomenal and so consistent to now what is such a dry patch. And he even started this season well, got that great goal in the Community Shield, phenomenal goal against Fulham as well. And since then, it's just absolutely curtailed. And you can't help but think, it's a stupid comparison. But you go back 10 years, you look at the likes of Nasri, Fabregas, Wilshere, All these players that could have contributed to seeing Aubameyang something like over 50 goals a season or whatever, and you fast forward to where we are now, present day, and we've not got anyone like that in the team whatsoever.
Bring back Jack.
Oh, mate, I'd have him all day long at the minute. I'd have him back, I'd have Rosicky back, I'd have Zola back, get the band back together, because, I mean, I tell you, they're a lot better than what we've got at the minute. So Bias can't.
Can I just say something? Can I say something quite controversial and I agree with you, James. He's been incredible. He's been consistent. He's scored a lot of goals. But is he an incredible footballer? You know, if you ask me, and sacrilege to say this, Van Persie carried Arsenal for 2 seasons, right? Carried Arsenal, not just from scoring goals, everything, everywhere, all over the pitch, picking the ball up, creating, scoring. Aubameyang is a goal scorer. He's not a talisman in the I'm leading the team sense. So, you know, all we have to do is put him in a position where he's going to score the most goals. And if that is coming off the left, like Henry used to, then why are we messing around with it? You know, it's been working. At the end of last season, he was on fire coming off the left. It's only because it's all this groundswell of demand and Lacazette's form that suddenly everyone wants Aubameyang through the middle. I understand it. I've even written that it's a good idea, but it's only a good idea if those 3 behind him are the right players, or we somehow play 2 up top and play someone with him. But
do you know what?
He's not getting any service.
So the thing for me that worries me is that Arteta he arrived in December, and we played that Bournemouth game, which was sort of mid-December, and we already saw signs of change. And in the year since, we've seen slow incremental signs of change that we've all been positively backing behind. But the worrying thing for me is whether or not teams have basically figured out Arteta football, and we're now at a stage where he needs to realise that you can't just come up with an idea in the Premier League and everyone just doesn't have an answer to it. And that's what I feel like we're at the moment. And so therefore he needs to do something different. And there's a combination of the players underperforming. So the likes of Willian and Aubameyang, and do you know what? I even think Bukayo Saka wasn't great tonight, if I'm completely honest.
He was very poor by his high standards of late.
Yeah,
he was very poor.
Really poor. So I just think there needs to be a point in which Arteta says, okay, we need to tweak something, but there's a balance between tweaking something and the absolute panic mode Emery of, oh shit, this isn't working. Let's completely change the formation. Let's completely change the players. We're going to try something totally different today. I don't know what that is, but that's the reason why I'm not paid more than 6 figures a year.
Is it just not modern football to say, right, obviously Aubameyang and Lacazette have an understanding. They like each other. They seem to enjoy playing with each other. When they're both playing well, they've both got an eye for goal. Is it not worth just saying, well, let's see if we can find a way where we can play them together? And I don't mean together, you know, one on the left. I mean as a 2, as a partnership. Could we not have the old Wenger formation of, you know, a Lundberg type player on the right, a Pires type player on the left, 2 strong central midfield players? We've got those now. And just play 4-4-2 or a variation. Couldn't we try that? I mean, Is it outrageous to try that in the modern game? Is that just gone 4-4-2? I don't know.
Don't know, Cookie?
I mean, I've barely seen it played in my lifetime, to be honest with you, over the past 10, 15 years.
Oh, you're such a child.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't it past your bedtime?
To be fair, mate, it probably is.
But Nelson on the right, Saka on the left, and 2 in the middle, and those 2 up top. I don't know.
Something needs to change. Sorry, Cookie, go on. Like, we interrupted. Go on, mate. Go on.
No. So I've not got much more to say on that, to be honest. It's something I'd like to see, because I think it makes a lot of sense to maybe have someone like Partey in the middle making those bursting runs going forward, then have maybe someone like Xhaka alongside him playing those diagonal balls, and then Saka, Nelson on the left, Pepe on the right as well, for example. Lots of different variations, lots of different options there. It's just I just can't see us doing it.
I just think I'm not saying about long term. I'm just saying until we sign this, you know, hour or so Sobuska, or whatever, however you pronounce, if there is going to be a creative link player signed. But until then, we've got to find a way of winning games between now and the middle of January, because we're not going to sign someone on the 1st of Jan. So we've got to find a way of getting the ball to a striker or two strikers quicker, more efficiently, and in good positions. We've got to find a way. And he's tried 2 or 3 different ways, and it's just not working. So he's got to try something else, presumably.
He has to try something else. And this is the thing. This has been depressing to watch this football. Like tonight, the wife said to me, she's like, so what's the deal for this evening? And I was like, well, I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to probably get grumpy, and we're going to be terrible and play terrible football.
I'm going to bed
in the back of, you know what? She's in there doing the ironing. She's in the room next door. She's been doing the ironing because it's a lot more enjoyable than listening to me moan about Arsenal. But what's depressing is the familiarity around. I knew tonight we'd be poor. And I knew tonight it would be a continuation of what's happened. Like, I'm not seeing anything that's changing, and that's my biggest worry. And like you said, like, we can all talk about, oh well, maybe he can make a change in January and blah blah blah. But we need to see something in Arteta soon. But right now we are sitting 14th. I'm going to ask you both the question. I'll start with Cookie here, and I've put it on the on the screen for those that are listening on the live view. Is our season basically done? Are we just treading water until next summer when we can get some of the high-paid wasters off of our books?
No, I don't think our season's done, not with like 28 games left. I think there's still a hell of a long way that we can go, and there's still a lot that can change. I think top
14,
four is...
having lost 5 games.
You're talking about the Premier League season. You're talking about the Premier League season.
Yeah, Premier League season. I'm not talking about. Yeah, sorry. Let me caveat that the Premier League, the domestic Premier League season. But we've still got the League Cup. Sorry, Cookie, I'm interrupted, but we've still got the League Cup. You know, Europa League. We've absolutely sailed through that. You know, we could still do something in the cup competitions. But from a domestic point of view, are we basically done? Sorry,
no, I'm not. No, it's all right, mate. I'm not. I don't think we can say we're done yet. We've so many games left to go. And I mean, I still remember watching Arsenal in 2011-12 when we got battered 8-2. We went to Blackburn and lost. We had some horrendous results and came back and absolutely stormed it towards the end of the season. Beat Spurs 5-2 with Yossi Ben Ayew, Cole Jenkinson playing. So, I mean, there's still going to be massive twists and turns with this season. But at the minute, I mean, it doesn't look good, does it? And the thing is, even when we did have those horrendous games in that, almost decade season ago, at least we were scoring goals, creating and looking a lot more exciting than we are now. We don't look like that at the minute, and that's what's really concerning. Defensively, yeah, we've improved, but it doesn't really make a difference when we're not scoring at the other end of the pitch. And I think we've got a hell of a long way to go. But we need to do something quickly. We need to mix it up a bit, because at the minute, the past 3 home games have all been horrendous defeats, especially that one against Villa, which I really think exploited just how poor we are. And we did. I haven't seen that bad since last season, really, under Emery, which was absolutely horrific. But we really, really do need to see something more. But I think the amount of players we've got on the wage bill, when you look at our squad on the Arsenal website, the ones that you pick off that you think shouldn't be here next season, you end up with a list of about 10. And the fact it's in double figures on its own is an enormous problem. Like, so many deadbeats in this team that, like a Kolasinac, Xhaka to an extent. I'm surprised even Nenny's gotten in the team. Fair play to him that he's worked his way back into the side. But all these players that we're asking so many questions about, and the fact we're asking questions about them really puts doubt in your mind as to whether they actually should be a part of Arsenal moving forward. But yeah, long, long way to go.
I think the other thing about that's important is, if we don't find a way of winning games between now and January, those players that he wants to sign, I know we all say, yeah, we're the Arsenal. We are the Arsenal. Players want to play for the Arsenal. But these days, players want to play in Europe. Players want to play in the Champions League. If we're 14th on the 1st of January, we're going to have to be paying 250 grand a week to get a player that we need. If we're 5th or 6th, it's a different matter. We're still an attractive proposition. So that's why it's so important, that we find a way. And so many people are coming in the comments on this saying, oh, damn, the season's over. If we'd won today, as the commentary said, we were 3 points off Chelsea in 3rd. It's a very congested middle of the table. And we have had a run of tough games. We've played virtually the whole top half of the table. So we have got a run of easier games. We will start winning some games, and hopefully that'll breed confidence. But he does need to be a lot higher than where we are now ahead of the January transfer window, because I think he will be backed if we are. So that's what we've got to do.
I get what you're saying, Dave, but you say about easy games, but it feels right now that no game is easy right now. I mean, we've got Tottenham next weekend. Like right now,
Told you,
let's
there you
be
go.
honest, that's looking like a defeat. That's looking like a defeat.
Did you watch them today? Did you watch them
We've
today?
got Burnley.
Bang
Yeah, I
average.
did watch them
Bang
today.
average they were today.
Yeah, but we were less than average today. So bang average.
Yeah, but
average.
we'll always turn up against Tottenham. I
got?
wouldn't be worried about that. I wouldn't be scared of playing Tottenham. You know, we
Burnley
won't
at
play
home.
that badly.
Burnley at home, low block, sit deep. We don't create chances. Southampton at home, they're a good team. They'll hit us on the counter. Everton away, they're a decent team. I know they got done by Leeds, but they're a decent team. We then got Man City at home in the League Cup. We then play Chelsea at home. You know, they've got an array of talent.
Maybe I should have looked at the fixtures before I said that.
Brighton away. We've got Brighton away. Our record away at Brighton, this is the thing that's always really wound me up. Brighton have always been shit when I've watched them. Even against us, they've been shite, yet they've still got results against us. I'm looking at every single game and thinking, where's the victories for us? This is the problem that we've got at the moment. And I guess we need to sort of wrap up today because, frankly, I'm depressed. And I'm sure, Dave, you're depressed, and Cookie, you're depressed. But can we let's end on, is there, I'm going to, nice and easy for you guys, and I'll let you answer it because I'm not feeling like answering it. Is there any positivity, James?
After tonight, no. I'll be brutally honest with you, no.
Cheers, mate.
Sorry, mate.
I'm going to drink more. I'm going to go and drink more.
I cannot be positive about that in the slightest. I think if we have a good win in midweek, and then we get a result against Spurs and we see something that we haven't seen in what feels like forever, then we're having a completely different conversation. But right now, I mean, having lost these 3 home games, it's been forever since we've done that. No, I don't feel good about things at all. I can't be positive. Sorry.
Dave?
I think one of the positives is we might see some of the cracking young kids who we haven't seen yet on Thursday against Vienna. So I'm looking forward to that. I think we might see Aziz, Patino's trained with the first team again this week, so we might see a couple of our exciting youngsters. So that's about as positive as it gets at the moment. But it's Tottenham. It's not a normal game. We won't be that bad against Tottenham. We just won't. We never are. It's a North London derby, and let's hope we do something against Tottenham, and that's the catalyst. It's happened before. As Cookie said, we weren't that great. We beat Tottenham 5-2. We're 2-0 down or whatever, 2-1 down. We turn it round, and then it's a catalyst, isn't it? Let's hope so. Let's hope so. It's all. That's the great thing about football. It's always the next game.
Yeah,
it's always the next game.
On that note, hopefully, I'd love to say, have you enjoyed this podcast, or live blog? But whether that's the question, I don't know. I mean, Tyler on the Facebook has said, "Slip my wrist." So, obviously,
Phil Hunt says you're mad if you think we won't get shown up by Spurs. Phil, I am mad and happy to be mad.
Let's be mad. Anyway, we're going to wrap this one up because nobody needs to hear us prattling on anymore. But lads, thank you very, very much for taking some time with me today. We've really enjoyed having you with us. We've not enjoyed the football, but we're all together, we're all Arsenal fans, and up the Arsenal. Catch you guys on the other side of whatever it is that we'll see. Laters.
Cheers.